Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2017 and our Football Manager Experiment, where we take a look at what would happen if the Belgian league had a Premier League level TV deal. So all of these clubs had been receiving £100 million a year since the 2017 starting season, which means at this point we're about 13 years in, and today we're going to go forward 5 years and then another 5 years as well, so we'll be a decade further ahead into the future. We'll be able to have a look at where the clubs are, what their finances are like, and how they're doing in Europe, which is the all-important test. At the moment they have 3 teams in the Champions League. I imagine they will get a 4th spot by the end of this episode, but that is something we have to wait and find out about. SDVV were the team that won the league last time, coming out of nowhere after Club Brugge had dominated. They really picked up the league, spent some money, and managed to get themselves up through to first place. If we look at the amount of money they spent, they actually brought in more than they spent, but before that they paid £94 million out, 59, 36, slowly increasing the amount of money they were spending each season to get to a point where they have finally won the league just ahead of Club Brugge. Otherwise the teams are all pretty much where they used to be. I think if we can have a look at the wages in the league, I think if we go to the stat screen, this is something that you guys wanted me to take a look at, and if we go to the bottom here, we should be able to see the salary per annum, which here it is, it's already clicked on, and you can see. Now the big interesting point on this was that we wanted to see where the money at Anderlecht is going, and they're actually 13th in the league for wage spend. They must just have the most tight chairman known to man. I mean, again, what are they doing with all their money? Absolutely nothing being spent there. But that's really strange at Anderlecht to have all of this money just leaving the club. No transfers being paid for. The wages aren't that high. I mean, Standard Liège at nearly 60 million is quite high. Club Brugge keeping it under control at 45. I don't know what Charleroi are doing, paying £47 million out. All of these clubs are effectively rich, except for Anderlecht, who are only secure. So I really don't understand what is going on at Anderlecht. If we look at the net transfer spend as well, because this is a new season, not quite registered just yet from the looks of it. But the highest attendances are Club Brugge. We can maybe take a look at the facilities, or the stadiums rather, in the league, and you'll see that Club Brugge do have the largest stadium. 41,000 fans can fit in there. Genk at 38,000. Anderlecht don't have a new stadium. They've still got the same stadium they had before. So I'm just really confused about where all of their money is going, and I don't think there's a way that I can actually find out either. But they just don't have the cash. I mean, they've got £13.6 million. Now the only other thing that might have happened is that somehow I've missed editing them in the data, but I checked all of them twice and I'm 100% sure it's not a fault of mine. I just do not know what is going on at this club. Looking over the landmark screen, there's not really been a change of ownership. There's not been any big changes. They had a new chairman come in, but that was a promotion from within the board, so it's not like that would have changed things too much. But either way, Anderlecht have completely fallen from grace after winning 5 titles in a row. They're now really down there, finishing in 7th place this season. But let's go forward 5 years now. We'll have a look at where the teams are, and then we'll go forward 5 more years after that. Well, this is where we left off last time. We're 5 years ahead now. SDVV were champions, and the year after that, the title actually went to KRC Genk, which is quite interesting, finishing above Club Brugge. If we have a look at the championship group for that season, you'll see Club Brugge finishing 2nd, Standard Liège down there as well, Anderlecht recovering up to 4th, but Eupen and Waasland Beveren both in the championship group as well, which is quite interesting. After that, the title actually went to Genk again, even though they finished 4th, 10 points off Standard Liège in the regular season. But in the championship group, they've absolutely made up the ground to beat them to the title by just 2 points. So you can see the league becoming really competitive now, different teams winning it every year. And then the year after that, again, Genk do retain their title. Club Brugge up there, Lokeren up there, Standard Liège and Anderlecht in there as well. Genk win it again after that, 7 points clear of Lokeren in the regular league season. Club Brugge really falling down the table. And then this season, the title has gone back to Standard Liège. Genk finishing down in 6th place, which is really disappointing for them. Club Brugge up in 2nd, STVV down there as well. But we've had quite a few different winners of this competition now. I mean, when you go back to the start of this experiment, when Anderlecht were dominating, Standard Liège came in, then Club Brugge had a turn, but Genk have now won the league 5 times since we brought these changes in, which is the same number as Club Brugge and Anderlecht. So it'll be interesting to see which one of them takes the lead. This little run here for STVV where they did very well, Standard picking up a couple of league titles as well, but the league is so much more competitive since bringing all of these changes in. And if we have a look at the transfers in the Belgian Pro League, we'll see that there's still quite a bit of money being spent, but the biggest transfers are pretty much going out of the club at this point. Mechelen losing a player to Monaco. Biggest transfer in was Andrik for up to £34.5 million. Standard Liège really spending the cash, which is maybe why they went on to win the title. Club Brugge, the regular appearance in there. Year before that, Club Brugge, the biggest transfer in. Otherwise, the team's really not spending that much money. STVV spending quite a bit. Club Brugge, as usual, pumping out those £10 to £50 million transfers. Before that, Club Brugge actually lost a player to Shangang for £41.5 million. But otherwise, no major real transfers in there except for Anker from Monaco for £38.5 million. STVV spending money. Club Brugge spending money as usual, as were Standard Liège. Before that, again, 2 big transfers. Club Brugge bringing in players from Real Madrid and Bordeaux, so showing how reputable a club they are at this point. Standard Liège in there, STVV in there, the 3 big clubs at this point in the series, and 42 million for Paulo Ricardo from Marseille for Club Brugge. A big transfer spend there, but it looks like they struggle to hang on to their big players at the moment. Now, the Belgian League is actually up to 4th in the rankings at this point. They've jumped ahead of both Serie A and Ligue 1, which means that they should be getting 4 Champions League spots. They're not showing up in the league table for whatever reason. It might be that the season hasn't fully finished yet, although the league table has, but maybe the European playoffs aren't quite at that point. We look at the final. Yep, the final is still yet to be played, so we're not sure what is going on there. I'm also just not sure how they allocate these extra places. I don't know if the game expected the Belgian League to reach this point, but that is where we are. Now, other things to take a look at, I'm not too sure. I think the transfers is the main thing. And I think I'll save the cup competitions for now, for when we've gone 5 more years ahead. So let's go 5 further years into the future. Now that Belgium do have probably, I think, 4 Champions League spots, let's go forward 5 years and see where they are in European football at that stage. Well, as you can see, the Belgian Pro League has actually jumped up to 3rd. It's above the Bundesliga now. It's the 3rd most reputable league in world football, I assume. They're just behind Spain and the Premier League, which is really interesting. And also, if we take a look at the league table, you'll see there are plenty of Champions League places going about. 4 teams qualifying for the Champions League. Standard Liège winning the title this season. If we drop back to the 35 season where we left off last time, when Standard had won the title for just the 2nd time at that point. The year after that, Genk came back in, being the first team to win a title 6 times since we brought in the new money. Standard Liège finishing top, but not able to finish off the job in the Championship group. And then Kortrijk, I think that is how you pronounce it, have come out of nowhere to win the title ahead of Genk. This is the great thing about this TV money. Just about any team could just go out and win the title. The year after that, Club Brugge come back to match Genk's 6 titles. Then they win it again to put themselves out in front before Standard Liège come back in. I mean, at this point, Anderlecht are basically a bottom half team, down in 10th, 11th. Finishing 14th that year, 13th. I think it's a matter of time before Anderlecht actually do get relegated. But some very interesting league finishes here. If we take a quick look at the transfers as well and drop back to the 35-36 season, you can see big transfers in were Standard Liège. The year after that, money being spent by Bruges and Standard Liège yet again. After that, Club Brugge, again, £58 million being spent on a player from another Belgian club. Up to £40 million spent on a player from Torino. Also, big transfers for Locker and Westerlo. There's actually quite a few teams in there really spending the money at this point. The year after that, no major surprises. The transfer is actually a little bit sedate this year. Standard Liège in there a few times, Bruges a couple, and then finally Club Bruges going on a big spending spree after winning the title, putting themselves in a good position. If we have a look at Club Bruges and have a look at their club finances, because they are the big spending team, and after missing out for quite a few years, they have gone on and finished first, winning the title each time after that. I'm just having a look. It does put them at the top when they win the league. If we look at their club details, though, you'll see that the reputation pretty good at this point. They've still got a lot of cash in the bank, £188 million in there. Big wage budget as well for a team in Belgium. Their manager, Daley Blind, which is quite funny. But if we take a look at their competition screen, let's just see what competitions they are in. The Belgian Cup over the last 10 years. Who's been winning this? It's been going to everybody. Standard Liège, the only team to win it consistently since 2030. STVV getting one, Club Bruges getting one, Kortrijk getting a couple in there as well. Anderlecht have actually won this a couple of times, giving them some hope of returning to a winning team. The Belgian Super Cup has been going to... Kortrijk have actually won it 3 times, but Genk, the dominant team in this competition, as you might expect. For some reason, Club Bruges not in the Champions League. But let's go and have a look at the Champions League now. And I've dropped back to the 30-31 season for the first look. And if we look at the first knockout round, you can see STVV did make it, but were beaten on away goals by Manchester City, which is quite tough going. The year after that, Genk were in there, but they were beaten 8-1 on aggregate by Atletico Madrid. Still just a one Belgian team making out the group stages at this point. Again, Standard Liège did get through, but they actually beat Juventus 1-0. A 1-0 win in the first home leg, sending them through. And in the quarterfinals, knocked out by Barcelona 5-2 on aggregate. Again, a 2-2 draw at the Nou Camp isn't bad going, though. The year after that, 2 Belgian teams managed to make it into the last 16, but they both went out. PSG taking out Club Bruges and Liverpool taking out Genk, but a clear sign of progression there for Belgium. The year after that, just the one again, Manchester City taking out Club Bruges, and then in 35-36 season, 2 Belgian teams going through. Genk actually managing to beat Fenerbahce, a favourable draw there. Club Bruges going out to Bayern 3-1. But a good performance by Genk put them into the quarterfinals, where they got beaten by Tottenham 5-2. But the second time a Belgian team has reached the quarterfinals of the Champions League. The year after that, 2 Belgian teams again in the last 16, both getting knocked out though. Standard to Arsenal and Barcelona taking out Genk. And then the year after that, no Belgian teams in the last 16, which is really disappointing. Big step back there before the year after 2 more teams got to the last 16 and 2 Belgian teams made it to the quarterfinals. Club Bruges taking out Sevilla, Genk taking out Roma, definitely favourable draws. And in the quarterfinals, both teams were taken out. Valencia knocking out Club Bruges and Genk being hammered 6-0 on aggregate by Real Madrid. That seems to be their ceiling at the moment, is the last 16. And the year after that, just the one Belgian team in there, and they were beaten by Chelsea. But they are consistently making the last 16 now, and getting 2 teams into the quarterfinals was really, really good going. But they've still not had anybody reach the semi-finals, despite all the money pumped into the league, and the being now 3rd placed in the league rankings. They need to be doing better than that. Now, in the Europa League, if we drop back to the 30-31 season again, and then if we start going from the second knockout round, the last 16, again, 4 Belgian teams in the last 16 of the Europa League is not bad going. Club Bruges taking out Roma, Anderlecht beaten by Dortmund, Mechelen beaten by Wolfsburg, and Waasland Beveren beaten by Lyon. In the quarterfinals, Club Bruges actually beat Wolfsburg. They put themselves into the semi-finals, where they were beaten by Lyon 2-1 on aggregate, but this looks like the place where Belgian teams are finding their own. And they had 5 teams in the last 16 the following year. Anderlecht beating Sporting, STVV beating Zenit, Standard beating PSV, Waasland Beveren beating BMG, but Napoli 2-1 knocking out Club Brugge. But that meant that there were 4 Belgian teams in the quarterfinals, which is absolutely crazy. Anderlecht managing to go through against Leicester, STVV taken out, Standard going out to Valencia, but Waasland Beveren going through. through. Interesting that they all managed to avoid each other, because that could have been 4 Belgian teams in the semi-finals. Instead it was just the 2, and both teams knocked out at the semi-final stage. Really unfortunate that they didn't manage to make it through to the final. The year after that, just the 2 teams in there. Club Brugge, the only one to go through. In the quarterfinals, they were then beaten by Schalke, which was a bit disappointing. And the year after that, 2 teams in there. Standard Liège, the only one going through. Quarterfinals, then beaten by Arsenal. In the 34-35 season, again, just 2 teams in there. They seem to be failing to progress out of the group stages, or certainly out of the first knockout round. Standard, the only team going through, but they did beat Inter Milan, and then beat Marseille to put themselves into the semi-finals, where they were beaten 3-2 by Juventus. A really poor home leg, not doing them any favours. The year after that, 2 teams again, both going through though, which is quite good. In the quarterfinals, both one going through. Standard making it into the semi-finals again. This is a good time for them in Europe, but they've been beaten by Manchester City at the semi-final stage. Just the one team, Club Brugge, a year after that in the second knockout round, and they were beaten by Schalke in the quarterfinals. And then finally we see 4 Belgian teams back in there actually playing each other. STVV beating Genk, but Kortrijk go through, as do Basel and Bavarian. Kortrijk actually beating Manchester United 7-1 on aggregate. A fantastic performance by them there. And all 3 teams going through to the semi-final. A real chance of a Belgian winner of this competition now. Valencia, the only other team going through, but they have knocked out STVV. So it's Basel and Bavarian against Valencia in the final of the Europa League, and Valencia win it 2-0. Still no European title for any Belgian team. The year after that, 3 Belgian teams made it through, but none of them into the quarterfinals, which is quite disappointing. Failing after making the finals to really progress. And then the year after that, Kortrijk and Anderlecht did make the quarterfinal stage. But Anderlecht the only one to go through. Kortrijk going out to AC Milan. Anderlecht beating Leicester at the semi-final stage. Anderlecht beaten by AC Milan. So it was an all-Italian final, and there is still no winner of a European competition for a Belgian team, but they have made a couple of finals now. Basel and Bavarian made the final, and STVV made the final as well, but only 2 final appearances is really disappointing, given that at this point there must have been, I think, we're 20 odd years into the future, so they've had about £30 billion pumped into the Belgian football, and they've still not won any European competitions. But they are in a better place to do that now, because they have got to a point where they're the 3rd highest ranking league in at least Europe, if not the world, which is really good stuff, because it means they'll be consistently getting 4 Champions League places, and it's just about whether they can bring in the calibre of players and hold on to those players that they need. They should be able to do that with the league being so reputable and so many Champions League places on offer. But at this point, they're not really progressing as much as I would like, and certainly not as quickly as I would like. But next season, 4 teams in the Champions League and 3 in the Europa League. I think there's a good chance they could win something at that stage. But I think that's going to be it for this part of the experiment. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you're still interested in seeing more from this experiment, do drop a like on the video. Otherwise, I'll bring it to an end now if nobody's interested in seeing more. And let me know in the comments if there's other things you'd like me to take a look at. But until next time, see ya.